Hey guys, I'm doing a movie review, and the movie I want to review is the 2024 musical crime drama film, Joker Folie à Deux. Am I saying the title right?
I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not totally 100% sure, but I think that's how you pronounce it.
And this is my friend Jeremy.
Hi, everyone.
Now, this was directed by Todd Phillips and is a sequel to his 2019 film Joker, and both this and the first one are based on the DC Comics character originally created by Bob Kane, Bill Finger, and Jerry Robinson, who first appeared as a villain in the Batman comics. Now, Jeremy and I, along with our friend Bill and my friend Matt, we reviewed the first Joker back when I did these Batman reviews in early 2020, and I know you loved the first Joker.
It was a great drama about a man's slow descent into insanity, with an amazing performance by Joaquin Phoenix.
And I loved it too. I didn't love it quite as much as you did, but I still liked it a lot. And what I really like about the first Joker is it basically runs on the idea of, okay, what if the Joker really existed in the real world? He probably wouldn't be this criminal mastermind. In reality, he would probably be this just demented, sad, kind of pathetic man. And I really like how the first Joker showed that. But Folie à Deux, I know this got, god-awful reviews. I'll be honest, I did not think this was anywhere near as bad as the critics have said it was. But it's also nowhere near as good as the first one. But what do you think of Folie à Deux?
Well, it's definitely not as good as the first one, and I think it spends too much time recapping the first movie, especially during the court scenes. Didn't meet my expectations.
I think I liked it better than most people did because I went into it already hearing all the horrible reviews, and when I saw it, I was like, I dug it, but I went into it knowing it wasn't going to match the first one. I went into it knowing that a lot of people didn't like it. And again, I understand why some people didn't like it. I'm not going to say there aren't things to criticize. But at the same time, I also feel like there was a certain amount of bandwagon jumping when it came to this movie. Like, a lot of people were almost ready to hate it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, a lot of people do like to jump on the bandwagon, but, I tried to form my own opinions, and the movie just wasn't that great.
Now, the plot of Joker Folie à Deux is it's set several years after the events of Joker, and we follow Arthur Fleck, who is the Joker in this continuity, who is now locked away in Arkham Asylum and is currently on trial for the murders that he committed in the first film. Now, Arthur's case has become highly publicized. We even learned that there was a TV movie made about what Arthur did, and Arthur has also gained a following in the years since he's committed the murders. But it turns out the prosecution is now seeking the death penalty, which makes Arthur all the more desperate. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman named Harley Quinn comes into Arthur's life. So, despite the potential death sentence and the fact that he's being abused by the guards at Arkham Asylum, for the first time in Arthur's life, he's validated. But despite what happens, the ultimate question really becomes, who will win in the end? Arthur or Joker? So how do you think Joaquin Phoenix did in this movie?
He still did a good job, I think, but he was better in the first one, I think. Fun fact, I got Joaquin Phoenix to sign 2 photos way back in 2014. On December 8th, 2014, I waited outside the stage door for the Late Show with David Letterman. He came out and signed autographs for a bunch of us graphers who were waiting, and I managed to get 2 photos signed, one from Gladiator and one from Walk the Line. He did not give a good signature. In fact, it's really just a scribble, but I'm still very grateful to have it.
I remember in our review of the first one you told this story, and you said that he's known for not being the most friendly when it comes to fans, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, yeah, he signs here and there, but for the most part, he's not very fan-friendly.
Now, in the film, Lady Gaga plays Harley Quinn. Now, this character was originally created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and first appeared as a recurring character in Batman the Animated Series, but eventually the character got incorporated into the comics and graphic novels. And this character was previously played by Margot Robbie in the 2 Suicide Squad movies series and in the Birds of Prey movie. Of course, this is not connected to the animated series or to the DC Extended Universe, and Lady Gaga does very much play her own version of the character. What do you think of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn?
I think she was underused. I was kind of hoping to see her and Arthur kind of take over Gotham, and that's not really what happened.
Well, to be fair, aside from the musical sequences, of course, this is meant to be a more realistic take on the mythos of these characters, and I feel like that would have been a little too comic booky if they actually went that route. What I really liked about Harley Quinn in this movie is, in most Batman media involving Harley Quinn, it's the Joker who manipulated her. Her whole backstory in, the animated series, and then in the comics is, she was a psychiatrist who the Joker manipulated and basically twisted into being Harley Quinn. Here, in a lot of ways, she's the one who's manipulating Joker. And she's kind of the most mysterious character in the movie, because even, a lot of her backstory that she gives Arthur is not even true. In a way, she kind of plays the role that Joker typically plays in the comics, and Arthur, or Joker in this one, is the more vulnerable party. And that's something I actually really liked. I thought that was a really interesting twist on the Harley Quinn character. And I thought Lady Gaga did a fine job in the movie.
Yeah, I would say does a decent job. But yeah, I do think she's still underused.
You also have Brendan Gleeson as Jackie Sullivan, who is this abusive guard at Arkham Asylum, and he is such a prick in this movie, yet he has such an odd relationship with Arthur, where he is clearly abusive to Arthur, but there are these little moments where he does seem to kinda like Arthur, and there's a weird kind of friendship between them, even though it is also a very toxic relationship as well. And I would say he essentially serves as the film's antagonist. You also have Harry Lawtey, I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right, as Harvey Dent, who is the prosecuting attorney in Arthur's case. Now, of course, in the comics, this character goes on to be Two-Face. However, since this is set outside of the traditional Batman continuity, it's hard to say if this version of the character will experience the same fate in this film's universe. You also have Zazie Beetz and Leigh Gill reprising their roles from the previous film. Leigh Gill plays the character of Gary Puddles, who was Arthur's former co-worker, and his scene where he's on the witness stand might actually be the best scene in the movie. It's in that scene where we realize that Arthur's actions had direct consequences that affected people's lives, where we realize just how traumatized Gary is from what he witnessed in the first movie. At the same time, Gary still does seem to sympathize with Arthur and even begs Arthur to stop doing this, that this isn't him.
Yeah, I think Catherine Keener as Arthur's attorney. And what did you think of the musical sequences?
Those I'm mixed on. Some of them kind of worked, and some of them were okay, do we really need this? I'm not going to say the fact that this is a musical worked 100%, but I at least appreciated that Todd Phillips was willing to go in that direction. I liked that he was trying to experiment with this movie.
Yeah, me personally, I didn't think that the musical numbers made much sense.
Well, to be fair, they're mostly in Arthur's head, so...
Yeah, not to mention, in real life, and I guess also Arthur too, Joaquin Phoenix is a very heavy smoker, so his voice, I think that's affected his singing ability, to be honest with you.
One thing I do want to mention is how the first one was very much a tribute to, the films of Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy. This very much feels like a tribute to, old Hollywood musicals. You could tell that's what Todd Phillips is going for, but again, the musical numbers are very hit or miss in the film.
Yeah, they are. I just didn't really get the sense of them. It's I think if you took them out, it wouldn't really impact the plot that much.
One thing I thought was interesting, if we want to talk about some of the themes of the film, is a lot of the film is really about how Arthur, again, his whole story has become sort of a media sensation, and he has all these followers. In a way, the film is almost a commentary on how we sometimes do make celebrities out of serial killers or sociopaths. And I thought it was interesting how in the movie you see Arthur retreating into this Joker personality, kind of because that's really all he has left at this point. But towards the end of the film, Arthur does start to realize that perhaps Joker is a monster that he created that he probably can't control. Like, I think that's the obvious commentary they were going for. Now, big spoilers for the ending of the film, but Arthur actually dies in the movie. At the end of the film, he gets shanked to death by this other inmate who was kind of like idolizing him throughout the movie. And I think the implication you're supposed to get is that the guy who kills Arthur in the end, he's the one who is going to end up becoming the new Joker, and the Joker that Batman will eventually face off against years later. What do you think of them killing Arthur off at the end of the film?
I didn't like that, because I still considered him to be the Joker, so for them to just kill him off like that and basically say, oh no, he's not, it's gonna pass on to someone else, this insanity or whatever. Yeah, I didn't really care for that.
Yeah, I had mixed feelings on it, but I have a feeling, from what I can gather, Todd Phillips did not want to do a sequel to the first one, and I think he just, was almost pressured into doing this one, and I think in some ways, I almost feel like he did that just to almost stick it to Warner Brothers in DC. I'm not doing another one. I mean, maybe I'm reading way too deeply into it, but it almost feels like that's the reason Todd Phillips killed him off at the end. I almost feel like it was Todd Phillips saying, look, this isn't your Batman universe. This is a whole new take on the mythology. And again, I didn't mind it, but I understand why it pissed people off. But you know what? Despite all this film's flaws, and I'm not going to say this is a perfect movie, I'm not even sure if I'm ever really going to watch the movie again after I put this review up, I will say this, though. The film was at least ambitious, and I know ambition doesn't always mean good, but I at least respect the movie. I respect what Todd Phillips was going for with this film, and you know what? That's more than I can say about a lot of recent comic book movies. That's more than I can say about stuff like Madam Web or Kraven the Hunter, or even some of the MCU movies post-Endgame. There are things I appreciate about it. There are risks that Todd Phillips took that I at least give him credit for. But yeah, the first one is a trillion times better. Watch the first one over this, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go watch the first one instead.
So yeah, that was our review of Joker. Now I'm blanking on how you say the name.
Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux. And bye.